and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Kellie de Leon with Treasure Data, and we are partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Meethun Panda, a principal at the Boston Consulting Group. Welcome.
Thank you, Kelly. Pleasure to be here.
I want to ask you what role data plays in the digital transformation process. In what ways can data, be brought in to help the process? What are some things that people aren't leveraging today or aren't using today where they're missing an opportunity to bring data in to their digital transformation process?
As we understand now, where the landscape of data has moved, over last decade or so, data is a true enabler. It's a key enabler in the digital transformation process, because every interaction that we make in the digital space generates meaningful data. And leveraging data effectively, organizations can gain valuable insights from the data and make more informed and effective decisions. They can, by leveraging data, they can accelerate analytical use cases very faster, improving operational efficiency, and most importantly, towards building innovative data and digital products to improve the customer experience. Now, I would say organizations have a real opportunity to seize the value from the data by leveraging AI and ML. Real-time, generating real-time insights would be key, and that means adoption on or building capabilities on real-time processing is one of the areas that the organizations must embrace on. Also, organizations also must emphasize on the data governance maturity. I have worked with so many clients, and my experience is that organizations must emphasize or find ways to address and improve their data governance practice and data governance maturity to build data as an enterprise assets. Definitely, those are the supporting building blocks to seize the opportunity from the data by leveraging the technologies to support and accelerate AI and ML use cases. Because you cannot just separate data and analytics, right? You have to marry data and analytics, but there has to be also a supportive system, which will enable for you to make it happen, right? And data governance maturity would be essential. Adoption of data management practices to support, and I believe these are some areas.
So much rich opportunity, front office, back office, inside the business, impacting the customer. I want to touch on what you said about customer experience and just dive into that a little bit deeper. In particular, how do you think digital transformation can help companies truly unlock the full potential of data to improve the customer experience and to better serve their customers?
Yeah. This is a great question. So as I mentioned, who are we doing this for? It's our customer. We know our customers very well. We know our segment, right? But it actually boils down to three key dimensions: data availability, data accessibility, and reliability. Making sure that your organization's data is available when you need it, and then making sure that you have to make sure that the data is easily accessible and data is reliable. It's a high quality data. Now, through the digital transformation, it can help improve these data challenges to support your decision-making process. Digital transformation can also help companies to use data to better understand their customer needs and engage with them. And that includes creating personalizing the product and services. I can share one of my experience. I visited India just before the pandemic, around same time in 2020, in January, February. I reached the hotel along with my wife around night 1 or 2 o'clock. As I checked in the hotel and entered my hotel room, I saw one welcome letter, which we see every time we check into hotel room. And then there was a yoga mat. It didn't strike my mind why a yoga mat was provided to me. It was already night 1 or 2 o'clock, and I just wanted to go to the bed and sleep before the long day starts. But after some time, it struck my mind that I realized that, okay, what could be the possibility of yoga mat? And as soon as, I woke up in the morning, I called the reception, hey, I found a yoga mat along with a welcome letter, and then they checked my profile, customer profile, and they said, thank you for being a loyal customer. You have stayed in our hotel often, and in the past, you also have requested yoga mat. So it is in our customer profile, and I hope you enjoy doing yoga during your stay in our hotel. I said, wow, it's a tiny use case. It's a tiny use case, but as a customer, it was a satisfying experience. So they could leverage my customer 360, and the customer reach happened through the technology. But for me as a customer, it was a satisfying experience.
I love that story. That's, sometimes we can talk about things so much in the abstract, and then that definitely is such a resonant experience that, it's a good use of data. It improved your experience, and you were a loyal customer, and they used that, and probably also it was another little chip to kind of continue your loyalty. So I love that story.
Exactly. And every time I go, and I first look for the same hotel chain, and this is how they tap the customers. Yeah, it's a win-win, right? But if you look at who is the enabler, it's a technology.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I think there's so many things like that around sort of personalization and, just at the right time types of experiences that customer data can empower and make better customer experiences, but also things that we don't think about, how we can use customer data to inform product development decisions, or even to drive things like demand planning and inventory management that customers might not really see or realize are their customer experience, but when the product they want is on the shelf, because you could use customer data to anticipate that, and you put the right amount of those sweaters on in that mall and not this one, or whatever the case may be. All of those things are such powerful ways to improve the customer experience, for sure.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you.
I want to talk a little bit about the roadmap of how do we think about IT and strategy around technology changes. Obviously the technology and data space is always changing. It's always rapidly evolving. New innovations and new trends are always emerging. What is your advice for how leaders should think about building a strategic roadmap that can unlock the full potential of their data, and that they have that roadmap laid out and a plan, but also remain, agile enough and responsible to the internal and external changes that they might encounter?
Yeah, this is another great question. Before I answer, there are actually a few precursors prior to building a strategic roadmap. And this is where, in my opinion and experience, winners stand apart. First, they prioritize the highest impact use cases based on business priorities. It's mostly use case driven with a rigorous focus on value generation. Second, they make data and technology accessible across the organization. And third, they recognize the importance of being alignment with the decision maker and leadership. The first step to build a strategic roadmap is to understand where you are, where you currently stand, and where you want to go. What's your vision? This can be achieved by, I would say, to start with assessing your current state landscape, identifying your gaps and opportunities, building a target state or North Star, right? Making tooling and right technology choices to support your target state. This provides a starting point on building your strategic roadmap, because you know where you are, you know where you want to go, and what are the intermediary phases. It's very simple. But once you develop, and as you start to develop your clear and compelling vision of the future state, start defining the key milestones and priorities that will be required to achieve the objectives, and making sure that each milestone is generating incremental value. you have to start engaging with your key stakeholders throughout the process, including your customers. You have to have the buy-in from and a commitment from the leadership as you build your strategic roadmap, and making sure that it's not just one-time effort. It is kind of an iterative process. Things change, the prioritization changes often during massive, large-scale digital transformation programs, and that means regularly review and update the roadmap to ensure that it remains relevant and responsive to internal and external changes. That would be key. Yeah.
Such a helpful way to think about it. And there are so many things that do come into it, but I think really that assessment of where are we now, so you kind of understand your state of maturity, and that might be different things and different categories of digital transformation, but where are we now? How far do we have to go to get where we want to go? And then really being clear on what are the value drivers and the use cases that you're looking to achieve. And I think if you can keep those things clear in your mind, then the rest of it can have ways to fall into place. It's great.
I mean, as I mentioned, it's not a big bang approach, right? It's a journey. It's an incremental journey, and that means the right level of prioritizations and looking at the prioritized use case and accelerating your use case enablement would be key. In the same time, your stakeholders are very important. You have to take them along in the journey and making sure that they are aware of each milestones, and if they need any kind of support, it is the leadership team. They are going to help you. So it's that simple. But I know that many organizations, they do struggle. I know I have supported so many clients for defining their roadmap, 3 years plan, 1 year plan, and 2 years plan, and whatever you call it. But we go by the use case. We start accelerating use case, and in the same time, we build the platform in a way that it supports enabling so many use cases that will be relevant for the organizations, looking at their vision where they want to go in next 5 years. So,
thank you so much. I feel like we got so much of your wisdom and your experience and your perspective. What a valuable conversation, and I'm so happy that we could connect today. So thank you so much for joining me for this conversation today. And I hope everyone who's watching this will visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews with lots of great information just like this one.
Thank you, Kelly. It was really a pleasure speaking to you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You too.